Oh, yeah, here we go again. Hello, and welcome into Ray on Sports. I am your host, Johnny Ray. In this podcast, we talk all things sports from my own opinion. You may agree or you may disagree, but all I do is ask that you listen. So come on in, buckle up, and let's take this ride. Hello, and welcome again. Welcome again once more time to Ray on Sports. I am your host, Johnny Ray. Johnny C. Ray Jr., the host of Ray on Sports. And on this episode, we're going to talk pay per view versus streaming. The reason why I came up with this topic is I was watching the fight over the last weekend. It escapes me right now, but you know what I'm talking about. It was on Prime Video, I believe, and it was a great fight. It was a real good fight. God, I can't think of the name of the people in the fight. My mind has lost me right now, but I'm gonna find it. But anyway, I'm talking about the difference between pay per view and streaming right now. Streaming is a big thing right now. Used to be pay per view used to be for me the meaning of pay per view used to be boxing matches, fight, basically just fights. It wasn't really anything else besides that. It wasn't any basketball. It wasn't any football. It was nothing like that. It was just boxing matches. When I equivalent pay per view with boxing matches. So over the past, I would say 10, 20 years, it has evolved. Pay per view has evolved a lot. We have went away from pay per view and going into streaming. And what I mean by streaming is a lot of streaming apps like your Disney Plus, your HBO Max, your Peacocks, your Paramounts, your Prime videos. They're all getting these sporting events and charging one flat rate, which is not just including the sporting events, but it's including everything in that package. You're also getting movies, you're getting premiere movies, you're getting things like live events, you're getting sport, you get news, you get all that, and it depends on what package you have. Now, even some of our cable industries and direct TVs and Charter and those guys, those big guys are getting into the mode of streaming. And the most, I would say the most, nah, I wouldn't even say the most. I would say maybe the biggest would be Charter. Shut up, Coop. That's my dog over there screaming. I don't know why he's screaming, but anyway, um, I don't know who has the biggest right now. Maybe ESPN has the biggest one right now because there are when you think sports, you think ESPN. You don't think anything. You know there's other sporting venues out there and genres out there. There's ESPN. There's Fox Sports. There's TNT Sports. There's Bally Sports. There's all these other entities that are in the sporting world. But for the most part, everybody is looking at um, everybody's looking at who's the biggest, who's the one. Crawford, there it is. Crawford and Alvarez fight. That's the fight that I was talking about. That's what made me think of this pay per view versus streaming. And the Crawford and Alvarez fight um, was a good fight. It was a good fight. I watched the entire fight. Like I said, pay per view has changed, and now it's a streaming app. And if you have this app, certain app, then you can watch whatever you want to watch. And somehow during that, there are things that are happening, like a lot of sponsors are getting involved. So in between your viewing of your event, you're getting commercials, and a lot of these places are they're saying ads, and that you can watch the ads or you can pay for having non ads where you can just get it straight through. But I believe most of the money from these events comes from the ads. It used to be the ads was the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the hockey finals, the Stanley Cup. I'm sorry, Stanley Cup, the MLB Finals. Those events, they would know that would be the biggest audience they would attract all year for those events, especially if your team was in the finals or the championship game or whatever like that. So that's when sponsors would, bid for the rights to put their commercial or their ad on that platform. But now things have changed, and now it's like if you get with a streaming service, you put your ads on there, and that's what's streaming it now. One of the biggest ones I think is Prime Video. It's Amazon. It's called Amazon. It's Amazon Prime Video. They now you can even watch a full movie because me and my wife were sitting there watching a movie the other night, and we were like, ads. Well, how do you get an ad in a movie? But it was ads that promoting different things as well as things that people are selling. And during the ad, which is cool, is that they would have a barcode right there for you to scan. So you was like, oh, they're selling whatever the latest, I would say robot vacuum cleaner, I think it's called a robo cleaner or whatever it's called. But they would say scan the code and you can order right now on Amazon Prime. So that's the things. Now with ads, and I'm kind of going a little bit drifting away from the main topic of pay per view versus streaming, but with those ads, not just Amazon, there are companies now that are getting on that bandwagon and saying, well, if Amazon can do it, I can do it too. So you got companies like Albi, I believe, got places like Temu, those different places that are selling things and they're putting ads everywhere. It's like they call it saturating the market. You saturate the market enough, people start clicking on your link and start looking at stuff, even if they only buy one time. And the crazy part about it is when you buy one time off of these different platforms, and you get bombarded. When I mean bombarded, you get bombarded with ads, with things. I believe I took a class on marketing, and what they do is they have people that, test the market and see what people are buying. And once they find out what you're buying, then they just bombard you with it, left and right. It's like, okay, say you go on Amazon and you buy like, I don't know, say some flowers. I'll use that for example because my wife is a decorator. So sometimes she buys like these flowers off of Amazon. Next thing I know, well, the Amazon account is in my name. So next thing I know, I get an email saying, hey, I saw you looking at the flowers. Would you recommend this? Would you prefer this? We found something you might like. That's how they usually start the emails with. We found something you might like since you purchased this. So they start giving you things. And that's called saturating the market. And that's how they get your dollars. But anyway, going back to the streaming versus pay-per-view, the streaming services, they're taking over, if that makes any sense. ESPN is probably the biggest one because this ESPN is Disney Plus. I believe it's HBO Max is part of it. And a lot of people didn't know that ESPN and Disney Plus were owned by the same company, but yes, they are. So when you get this, now they have this thing called ESPN Unlimited. If you look at ESPN Unlimited, there's things that you on there that, oh my God, there's all kind of things. Let me see if I can get on there. I'm going to ESPN Watch. I'm on ESPN now. I'm going to ESPN Watch. Right now on ESPN Watch, you have Sports Center Live. You have on-demand things. You have a re-air of games that you may have missed. You have re-air of some college games. I think the Stanford versus Virginia game is on there. The NC State versus Duke game is on there. They've got the USC on there. They got the X game from Osaka. 2025 X games are on there. The replay of the WNBA playoffs is on there. They got everything. Eli Manning and his brother Peyton have their own thing on there. And now the biggest thing, one of the biggest other mergers that's been put on there now is WWE. WWE has jumped into this platform. Now, let me give you a backstory on WWE a little bit. They started, it's WWE. I'm a big fan. I'm a huge wrestling fan. And they were selling out arenas, but they weren't getting the live audience. I mean, I'm sorry, the home audience that they were getting. So they ventured out and they started, making things better, making the product better. What they say is making the brand better, making the product better, making everything that they put out better. So people would look into it. Now, people know that, wrestling is not, it's called sports entertainment. That's what they call them, sports entertainers, because they know it's a sport and you have to train for it and things of that nature, but it's still entertainment at the same time. And majority of the people that watch WWE is watching it for the entertainment value. The sporting part of it, yeah, that's good for the premium live events, what they call them now. They call them PLEs, and they're considered premium live events. So people do turn out for those things. But now it's a lot like me. I'm a person that watches it for the storylines. I love the storylines. I love looking at the storylines. I enjoy that part of it because it's outstanding. It's outstanding what they do. So they have merged. Now the first thing they did was they started their own network, which is called WWE Network. They started that. They were charging us fee for that, and people were getting to the point where saying, "Well, I'm not paying for it. I can watch it on whatever network you have it on." I think at the time they had it on USA Network, so people say, "I watch it on there." If I missed a premium live event off your network or whatever, then I'll just catch the highlights on YouTube or whatever they was going to stream it to, or where was it going to play the replay at. So I believe, I don't know if it was a marketing decision or it was a higher up decision. They decided that that wasn't the way to go. So the next route they did was they made a deal with USA. They made a deal with the CW. They made a deal with um, Peacock, I believe, Peacock, and they moved over to Peacock. Now Peacock is a streaming platform, and in order to get WWE, you'd have to order the Peacock platform. And at the time, I think Peacock was running maybe $5.99 a month or something like that, because you were getting all this content. Because Peacock, if you think about it, Peacock, NBC, so a lot of shows that were on NBC were airing on Peacock. So WWE said, "Well, let's get with that. That's one of the highest streaming values." So they got with that, and that worked. That still worked for a while, but I don't know if the contract expired, what happened, but they changed again, and they went to Netflix. So one of their shows, which is called WWE Raw, yeah, Monday Night Raw, they moved over to Netflix. They signed this huge contract with Netflix. So now people can watch WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Um, the times are 9 Central or 9 Eastern, maybe 8 Central or something. I don't know. I don't know the time zone thing. I'm not good at that. But anyway, you can watch WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw on there. Now, with that being said, they have also branched out. So they have WWE Raw, they have NXT, I think they just brought the rights to TNA Wrestling. It's another brand, but that's it's so much talent. I can see why they're doing it, because it's so much talent in wrestling. You can't get everybody crammed into one show, so they're like, well, let's expand it. So they had this thing called NXT. NXT had started off as just a thing where a young wrestler coming up would start. It was kind of like the indies. They call it the indies, or it's independent wrestling, where you go on and you make a name for yourself, and if somebody likes you or if a talent sees you, then you make it to the main roster. So that's how I'm sorry, that's how NXT started. And I believe Triple H, which his name is Paul Levesque, now he's now the chief content carrier for WWE. He took over for Vince McMahon. He started NXT, and a lot of wrestlers that are there today, like the big names, like the Roman Reigns, the Seth Rollins, the Sami Zayns, the God, who's the other ones? The John Cena's. I don't think John Cena started in NXT, but he might have. But things like that started there, and they've expanded the even the women's side of it. You had your Becky Lynch's, you had your Charlotte Flairs, you had your Bianca Belairs, you had all these people coming up in NXT. And when they got to a certain point, if they would carry over, or they're whatever they're doing was carrying over, then they would bring them up to WWE, and they would get on the main shows, which was WWE Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Now NXT has become its own separate brand, kind of separate, because some of the stars are on there, stay on there, and they carry the show. So it's become its own pilot. It started off as a pilot show, but now it's getting more popular, and now they're expanding it, and now they even have it to the point where a lot of people that are on WWE go back to NXT, and they kind of like have them come back and forth. It raised the ratings. But the thing about it is, which I love about it, is it's still in the same little small arena, an arena that they hold it in is the training facility for wrestlers. When you're first coming into business, you go to this place called Full Sail Arena. I think it's in Florida that they go to, and that's where you train. That's where you become better at your craft. And then they put you on the NXT roster. And they even, they've even developed it where a point where they've gone a little bit further, where they have this, I forgot what it's called, but it's like an upstart program that you can start there and work your way up. Now, a lot of people, if you watch them, you'll see it and you'll be like, they might make it, they might not make it. But that's that. So that's the backstory behind WWE, and that's how they got where they are. Now, the newest thing that WWE has done is partnered with ESPN. So that last big event that they just had called WrestlePalooza was streamed live on ESPN, the ESPN app. And I'm sure the sales, I haven't seen the numbers, but I'm sure the sales were through the roof. Because if you look at any of the WWE premium live events, those places are sold out. They are sold out more than football stadiums and baseball stadiums and basketball arenas. Those places are sold out, and they are having these events at these stadiums that they usually have football games at baseball games. They had them, and I think they've had it. The last WrestleMania was in Vegas at the Allegiant Stadium, and now they've done such a good job. They're going back this year to Allegiant Stadium, and the place is sold out. If you go on the WWE site and look for tickets, tickets are not cheap. I mean, just and they be like you think wrestling people are paying that much for? Yes, people are paying that much for wrestling. It's not. I tell people all the time, it's not about the wrestling. It's about the storylines. It's about the characters. That's what people pay to see. I don't care if you're sitting on the floor or the nosebleed. You're paying to see the characters. And if you look at any of the events, the Raw, the SmackDowns, NXT, you see these people in the stands just going crazy. It's this new trend now that on WWE, on most of the shows now, that when they play the entrance music to that whatever the wrestler is, the crowd is singing right along with them, word for word. And the crazy part about it is they've went overseas with this. So they've gotten Saudi Arabia. They have people there, and those people in Saudi Arabia know they're wrestling. They're not. They don't have fan favorites. They just like they cheer for everything, and it's funny. It's crazy how when you watch an event there, it's crazy how you hear this crowd going crazy for everybody. They don't boo. They boo some of them, but the majority of the time they cheering. They just enjoying the moment. So that's what sparked the thing about looking at into pay per view versus streaming. So I did a comparison on pay per view versus streaming, and here's what I got so far on that. So pay per view, the payment method for pay per view is a transaction, a one time fee is paid for a specific movie, live event, or program. That's pay per view. For streaming, you pay a reoccurring, a flat monthly or annual fee is paid for the access to entire content library. And see, that's what I was talking about earlier about the difference between pay per view and streaming. Is that with pay per view, you're paying a one time fee for a one time event. When you're paying for a streaming service, that means whatever event's coming on that streaming service, you're getting because you're already paying your reoccurring fee. You're paying either a monthly fee or you're paying a yearly fee. It all depends on what you got. And I think pay per views, they're kind of going down because a lot of people are like, I'm not paying. Me and my wife were just talking about it. We used to watch. Anybody remember the Mike Tyson fights? Remember those fights? Mike, they pumped Mike up as the outstanding greatest boxer, which he was. He was a great boxer. He was a great fighter. He was ferocious, ferocious. So you would pay your whatever $49.95 or your $69.95 or whatever the cost was at the time for those fights, and Mike would knock him out in the first round. And you'd be like, "Wait, I just paid $60 for this?" Yes, you did. And that's what I believe. A lot of the people, executives in the industry, was thinking about that, saying, "Wait a minute, people are and probably sales are going down. Like I'm not paying one time fee to watch a fight like this, or I'm not gonna spend my hard earned money at $60 to watch 2 rounds of boxing. The guy get knocked out in the second round and the third round. So a lot of these fights are going up to streaming services like ESPN, like Amazon. They're going there because they're seeing that's what a dollar is. Because I already got the subscription, you just add something to my subscription, which makes me want to re up my subscription to this service because I'm getting this X amount of more stuff to it. Just like with Prime Video, the newest thing with Prime Video is they're getting into the NBA. Now the NBA is a big market, NFL is a big market, Major League Baseball is a big market, but not a but. People are starting to see that. And I don't know if they're going to raise the price if you watch the NBA because, like I said, all these, what I will, not like I said, but a lot of these sports like NBA, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, they have their own platforms. Like NFL has NFL Network, and they have the NFL Red Zone, and they have the Sunday Ticket. They have those things, and people are still saying, "I'm not paying for them." For me, I wouldn't pay for an NFL Sunday Ticket. The reason why, not nothing against it, but I'm a Niner fan, so majority of the time, my game is not on there. I've watched it, and they were like, "Well, it's blacked out in your area." Wait a minute. So I'm paying all this money for NFL Sunday Ticket not to watch my game. And that's what leads me into these other services like these free apps, streaming apps that you have to go through all these ads and stuff just to get the game going. A lot of those are popping up. People are popping those thinking what they're doing is they're basically tapping into the network and getting the game that you want to watch anyway. And it's not like you're getting a bogus game. You're getting full live games. And if you look on any social media platform, you see people watching the game saying, look, I got the game. I had to pay $29.95 for it. I got it here on this app. And then people come in and say, well, what app is that? What app is that? And they'll find it. Now there's a lot of apps. There's a lot of the people from like the higher ups from like NFL, the NBA are trying to shut these apps down because it's taking money away from them. Because people are going to these apps and watching the games, and I've seen people go in there, and I think you have to go in there, and once you get past the links and the ads and all the other extra stuff that they do, you finally get to see a game, and you can watch the entire game because you're watching that app. So people are moving away from that. I mean, the networks are trying to get away from that, trying to make a product better for people to purchase, so they don't have to do all that. So one of the biggest ones, I believe, was called Stream East. That was one of the biggest live apps, free apps that watch different sports on. And a lot of people were going to that. And so I just saw a story on this that they finally shut it down. Now, of course, when that came out, people said, oh, they shut down Stream East. I can't watch my game anymore. Somebody went on social media and says, hey, don't worry about it. I found something else we can watch. And they sent the link out. Said, here, go look at this. I'm watching the game right now, and they showed a video. I forgot where social media platform I was looking at, but the guy was watching the game and said, look, I'm watching the game right now. They thought they shut us down, but they didn't. So I found another way to watch my game. So that's one of the things that I talk about. People do is society always finds a different way to get what they want, no matter what you do, because once you start jacking up prices, then people will say, well, I'm gonna find a different way to watch it. Just like with movies, just like with any live event, a concert, anything like that, a movie that's came out. People always had these bootleg movies. You remember the guy that was in the parking lots of these different stores and grocery stores. You remember that? Come on, people. Talk to me now. Talk to me now. You remember that guy that would be in there and said, hey, man, I got the DVDs. Got the new movies out. And it would be a DVD box. On the DVD, it would be a movie, and it would have a paper, like a copy of the movie title on it, like a black and white copy. I guess they copied it off. I don't know where they got the flyer for the poster from. They could get the flyer, make a copy, put it in the box, give you the DVD, and you get it. You pay like $5 for it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I pay $5 because I ain't paying $10 or $15 to go see it at the movies. I'll pay my $5. Pay the brother the $5. You get home, you slap it in your DVD player, and you watch whatever the newest movie was out at the time. Maybe you was watching the new X-Men, or you was watching this, or you was watching whatever movie was out, and you were like, hey. But the crazy part about it was these DVDs that you were watching is usually you could tell it was recorded at the movies, because it would be somebody with probably a camera in their coat, and you can see the angle of the movie. You would hear like the echo in the background, and then something would go on in the movie, and people would scream, and you can't hear it. And that was a bootleg. That was a bootleg, and people finally, I guess the FCC probably came down hard on these people for doing that. But it wasn't. It was more of people was trying to make money, and they heard the cry from the public saying, we don't want to pay that much for this. So what else is out there? So people's like, oh, let's try this. So one person would try it, and then everybody tries it. It's just like with anything else. One person tries it, everybody else tries it. If they can do it, I can do it too. It's just like a podcast, like this podcast here. I listened to other people's podcasts and I said, if they can do it, I can do it. I didn't say I can do it too, but I knew enough about sports to talk about sports and talk about things like this, what we're talking about now. Just it's a sports related topic, but it's going deeper. And, that's the reason why I started this podcast, was just to talk, because I listen to sports all day. I listen to different things all day, or I watch sports and I'm like analyzing, and I'm talking sports with my friends, my buddies and stuff. And the story was that my wife heard me talking about stuff and said, why don't you just start your own podcast? I was like, maybe I should try to start my own podcast. So that's how this started. Was a dream. And I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. I appreciate everybody who listens to it. Even though if I get one download or if I get 1,000 downloads, I appreciate every single one of you people that listen to my podcast, that download my podcast. If you don't know where to get the podcast, it's available on Buzzsprout. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Apple Podcasts. It's available on YouTube. I even have a Facebook page, Ray on Sports Facebook page. And also, like I always say, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what I talk about, feel free to hit me up. You can hit me up at rayonsports0905 at gmail.com. Once again, that's rayonsports0905 at gmail.com. And let me know what you think about what I'm talking about. Send me a link, send me an email, send me, I put my clips up on I'm sorry, TikTok. And I've had people come back and come comment, and I don't get mad about it because sometimes they give me information that I don't even know about. They say, "Well, yeah, did you look at this?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I didn't, but I appreciate you. Let me know. Thanks." I don't come back at them hard and say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." No, because I'm learning. We're learning together, so I love it. So anyway, getting back to this pay per view versus streaming. The content of pay per view. One of the features in pay per view versus streaming is the content. The content for pay per view typically is used for high demand, exclusive, or premium content, which includes live sports like boxing or UFC. That's what I was saying about boxing and UFC. Concerts, specials, and first run movies available for rental. So pay per view is like a rental fee. Like so, if you just a movie just was at the movies and it just stopped being at the movies, it's available on pay per view. A lot of streaming companies do that now. I mean, I know they call it pay per view because the pay per view part of it is like when you're on, like you have a cable subscription, and during a cable subscription, it's called on demand. That's a pay per view. It's called on demand, and they'll say for X amount of dollars you can watch this movie that just came out, like Superman. Just Superman just left the theaters, and now it's available for. There's you say available for on demand or available on whatever streaming platform or whatever. And sometimes some of the places like Paramount, Peacock, Disney Plus, if it's their brand or if they're their company, they'll release it early and they'll charge an extra fee for you to watch it. Like they'll charge you like to rent it, like just like renting a movie from like a rental a movies place, like a DVD place. I know a lot of you young people don't understand what that is, but back in the day, there was a place called Blockbuster Video, where you would go and rent a movie for 3 nights. It would be a movie that just came from the theaters, and you would go in a Blockbuster and you would rent it for like $3 a night, $2 a night. I forgot what the cost was, but you go in there, you get your movie, rent it for $3 or $2 a night, and then you would bring it back in 3 days. Now, what happened with that was one, people stop bringing the movies back. Two, people start recording the movies that they were getting from Blockbuster. So Blockbuster would, I think the company that would come out with the DVD or the video, whatever, would have put a like a band on it where you couldn't record it. So people would do that. But yeah, back in the day, that's what they would do. So now, um, then that was like pay per view. You were paying to watch a movie. So now, a lot of streaming companies now, like I'm saying, like the cable companies now would have movies like that just left the theater and said, okay, you can watch it now for X amount of dollars, whatever the price is, the purchase price, and that will give you a rental. Like Amazon does it for a lot of movies that come out. Like they said, it just left the theater, but we have it here. Or sometimes they would say just hit the theater if you could watch it at a limited time on Amazon for a certain price. And they sometimes the price would be the same price you would pay if you would go see it at the movies. Or they would pay you for they would charge you, the amount it would cost for maybe a family of four to go see it at the movies, like a $50 charge, and that's usually what movies cost now. I don't know. I think they're like, geez, $11 a person now, maybe $8 for kids. Not sure. Me and my wife, we go every once in a while, or we go as a group. We have a group of friends that will call up and say, hey, so this movie just came out, and we go see it. It's something about going to see a movie in the theater, that atmosphere of going to see a movie in the theater, just like going to see a live event. Something about just going to see it in person that, people enjoy it. People might say, oh, tickets are this high, this is that high, or the tickets are X amount of dollars, like a wrestling event. They'll say the tickets are like astronomical. I'll just stay home and watch it. Yeah, you can do that. But for me, if I had the extra money to do it, yeah, I would do it. I would go see a wrestling event. I would go see a football game. I would go see anything, whatever. Just I would pay that price just to go see it at one time because it's just the experience of going to see a live event. I believe, oh, for wrestling, I think me and my wife went maybe 9 years ago. We went to go see a wrestling event down at the Staples Center in LA. and it was like their Christmas special, whatever they had. But we went to go see him, and my wife got to see her favorite wrestler. I got to see my favorite wrestler, so it was a good time. It was fun. So if you had the chance to do something like that, go see a live event in person, I would say do it because it's the experience of a lifetime, and that's something that you will cherish for the rest of your life. I went to go see my 49ers play a pretty day last season when they played in Candlestick Park. My wife bought me tickets to go see there, and we drove up to San Francisco and watched the game. Now, I haven't been to the new stadium, Levi Stadium, to see a game there yet, but I'm working on it. But like I said, that's experience. If you have the chance to do that experience, do it. But I think one of the reasons why I don't haven't done it is because games are on Sunday, and like I said, I'm Christian. I have to be at church on Sunday. I got to get my word on Sunday. Games can wait, but that's just me. You might have a different opinion about it. Say, yeah, you can take a day. Yeah, I could take a day off, but right now, the my I think my salvation outweighs the games right now. So yes, I want to go. I want to get my salvation right, and it'll be there. Football will be there. Basketball will be there. Whatever. So it's not a big thing for me. But like I said, for anybody who wants to go see it, take the chance to go see it. Go see it. So anyway, we're kind of wrapping up. We might have to have a part two of this because I did get kind of wordy with this because this is a good subject. I'm talking about pay per view versus streaming. The costs. One of the things. Let me just hit this a couple times and then we'll get out of here. Costs for streaming. For pay per view, the cost can be very expensive for a single event, with prices varying based on the event's popularity. So that's one of the things I was talking about. That it's a one time price, but sometimes it's pricey, and it depends on who the person is. Like the Alvarez fight or the Canelo versus what was it? God, Canelo. I forgot the guy's name. Canelo. What was the fight? The last fight. Oh my God, what was his name? God, I just went to it. I just saw it. And Crawford versus Canelo fight. That was a big time fight. And over the years there have been better fights. Over the years, it was considered a super fight because it was Crawford. Crawford was undefeated. Alvarez was Canelo Alvarez is one of the top. Canelo Alvarez to me reminded me of a Roberto Duran kind of fighter, or Julio Cesar Chavez kind of fighter. That's what he reminds me of. Those Mexican fighters that just come in there to punch and they don't care. They're out to the fight. So that's what I saw with that. But that was one of the biggest fights of the year, and I'm sure it did pretty good. But over the years, I'm trying to see if um, there's anything they talk about. I think they just talk about the fight itself, about the historical of the fight. I have some different things on that. I'm looking right now. There's a thing on. They're talking about pay per view fights and big name fights. Jack Johnson fight. Get this. It's a Jack Johnson fight in person. It was $30 a ticket for that fight. That's not the pay per view charge. That was a ticket. Like you go to the arena and watch it. They were charging $30 a ticket. And people said $30. That's not that bad. Yeah, back in back in their days, that was a lot of money, and that was back in 1910. It was $30. Yeah, July 4th of 1910. It was a double fight card. It was Johnson versus Jeffries, and it was another fight. But yeah, tickets were $30 because they have a picture of a ticket right here on ESPN. But that's one of the things, yeah. And when we talk about that, the fights and the income, I have a thing on that too. As far as how it went. Oh God, did I have the sheet? Oh my God, I think I lost it. I might have lost the sheet, but I think I have the sheet on how much did people had to spend on fights. Back in between 1963 and 1965, Muhammad Ali, off of his fights, he made a total sales of $162 million off his fights. Floyd Mayweather cleaned up on his, and this is between certain areas. It was like pay per views as well as what they call closed circuit TV, which is I don't know what that meant, but I do know what it means, but I don't know what it means. But if you notice the wrestling game, there's wrestlers that made good money too. Between 1994 and 2019, Triple H made $20 million off pay per views. So that's why I said it varies it makes a lot of sense, the income. The highest paid athlete, but I believe the highest paid athlete right now was Muhammad Ali. He was the he grossed the most in a fight. And at the time when he was fighting, like I said, it was entertainment. People they wanted to see Muhammad Ali fight. If you never seen Muhammad Ali fight, Google Muhammad Ali and watch some of his fights and his younger fights when he was younger. He was a excellent executioner when it comes to boxing. He was an extraordinary boxer. But that's all I have for this week. Next week we'll come back to this. We'll go over it again. There's some other stuff um, on there. But when I was talking about the cost, I'm sorry, one more thing. When talking about cost of pay per view versus streaming, like I said, cost of the pay per view was like you were paying per event. For streaming, you pay a flat rate, and you get all these events. Now, like I said before, some events they might charge a little extra, like this new ESPN unlimited app that's out. You can order it and you can get it, and you don't just get that one event. You get all these events that go with it. You get all the stuff that goes with it. You get extra games. You get sporting events. You might get an extra football game, or a college game that you want to see. It might not be your favorite team, but you'll see a game. If you're a big sports fan, then you'll pay for it because ESPN. I mean, they do a great job with it. And I do watch a lot of sports and things of that nature on ESPN. But like I said, there are like limited things. But one of the biggest things was when WWE came up. I'm sorry, with this new one, WrestlePalooza, and they bonded with ESPN. Now the crazy part about it is, since WWE is part of ESPN, when you watch SportsCenter now, they do wrestling highlights. And I believe I'm not saying this for certain. I'm not certain about this, but I do believe the people that were doing the Sports Center that night of WrestlePalooza, some of them didn't really want to do it. The way they came across with it, to me, my personal opinion, it's my podcast. I can say what I want to say. Now, come after me. But anyway, it seemed to me that they really didn't want to be. I don't know if they want to talk about it because they were. I get, or maybe it was just that they were new to it and were trying to understand wrestling and trying to understand the whole thing about it. But they have had on the different shows like First Take and ESPN Sports Center and things like that. They have had wrestlers on there talk about the brand. Like they had Triple H on First Take, and him and Stephen A. Smith were going back talking about the brand and how much has it evolved since the days of Vince McMahon and his dad when they first started, and how Triple H has taken it to another level. And he's saying, I think one of the questions was asked was, how do you make it better? And he said, you're always looking to make it better. He said, just like when you're an athlete, your first game, you play a game and you play and you be like, I played pretty good, but I think I can do better. So the next game you try to do better than that. And then you look back at that game and says, I could have did better at this. So the next game. So you know what I mean? You keep growing, you keep growing. And it's the same thing with sports entertainment and with the sport industry, is that they keep going, trying to get better. So like, okay, this was outstanding, but how can we make the next one better? Because the fans are there. If you go back and look at WrestlePalooza and you look at the fans that were there in that building, I think it was in Indianapolis. It was amazing, and it wasn't just regular fans that were there. There was celebrities there too. I think Tyrese Halliburton was there. There were a lot of people there that that follow wrestling, and the athletes that the not the real athletes. I don't want to say the real athletes, but the people that are in wrestling, that follow wrestling, the athletes that follow them, sometimes they get involved. They get inside of it. Back in the day, it was Mr. T. He got involved with wrestling, with him and Hulk Hogan. And then it moved on to other celebrities that would jump in the wrestling ring. Floyd Mayweather did a gig with it. Mike Tyson came in and did a thing with wrestling. So everybody's coming in there. Now it's Jake Paul who's coming in there. And Logan Paul, I'm sorry, not Jake Paul, Logan Paul is coming in. Now he's putting himself out there like as a person that just as the best wrestler or whatever. But he's athletic enough to do things they need to do. But I know he's finding out that it's not that easy to come off a top rope. It's not that easy to jump this. It's not that easy to do that. You have to train for this stuff. And if you look at the behind the scenes stuff of this, you'll see him like hurting and like tired and like, man, this is a lot. But that's what wrestling is doing. It's evolving so much that other people from other sports are coming in and saying, "Can I be a part of it?" If you come to my town, can I be a part of it? Like when they come to San Francisco, the 49ers are in the stands, and some of the players, try to be a part of it, and they're evolved. Like I said, wrestling is evolving, sports are evolving, period. But wrestling is kind of more involving as well because if you notice, like with NFL, the NBA, now they're having championship belts. Where do you think they got that concept from? WWE or sports entertainment in general. They have championship belts, so now they're evolving, and even the WWE merchandise are starting to sell these events and these belts and things like that. Like you can go on the WWE Shop Zone and buy a championship San Francisco 49er championship belt. You can buy a Houston Rockets championship belt. You can buy a Boston Celtics. You can buy whatever you want because they sell them on their thing. And that's one of the things that they hit. And I was like, oh, people might buy these, and people are buying them and bring them to the events. Now they're pricey, they're costly. Oh yes, they are costly. Yes, I have looked at the cost of them. They are, but like I said, if you have the funds to do it, do it. Enjoy yourself. You only live once. Enjoy yourself to the fullest. If I had the funds to do it and my wife wouldn't kill me, I would do it. I would buy a championship belt or something like that just to have it. It's part of being a sports fan. It's part of being it's called memorabilia. It's part of having memorabilia. You want to buy, you want to get things for your favorite team. You want to buy jerseys. You buy jerseys. You buy helmets. You buy this. You buy that. You buy championship plaques. You buy the shoe. You do all this stuff. And people are making money off of it. But like I said, this pay-per-view streaming, I think it's exploding. I think it's going to be better. I'm going to have a part 2 on it of more of what it is, and also have a list of players and athletes who made money. I named a couple of them, but there's more on the list. I just got to get it together. I think something went wrong on my computer, and it didn't pan out the way I wanted to do. But I'm going to get it back. But that's it for this week of Ray on Sports. I try not to go too far in because I noticed demographics say that your podcast is too long, people stop listening to you and they start tuning you out. And I don't want you guys to tune me out. Please, 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 please listen to the podcast. That's it for this week on Ray on Sports. My name is Johnny Ray. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for jumping in the car and buckling up your seatbelt and taking this ride with me as we talked about pay-per-view versus streaming. It will be a part 2 of this. Also, I will come back with some more things on the NFL, the nature of the NFL, and we're going to talk about. I think the next episode we'll talk more about the streaming, but we'll dive into these injuries that's coming in the NFL. Oh my God, Lord, y'all pray for me. My 49ers, geez, we lost another person. Oh my God, but let's not get into that. We're still 3-0. Woohoo! Bang bang, Niner game. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Ray on Sports. My name is Johnny Ray. Please, if you miss any of this podcast, go back and listen to it on Buzzsprout. Go back and listen to it on Amazon. Go back and listen to it on Apple Podcasts. Go back and listen to it on YouTube. Also, you can also tell your smart speaker to play Ray on Sports, and it will come up for you. So thank you for this episode of Ray on Sports. My name is Johnny Ray. Take care, and God bless.